Andy, my dude, have you heard of the magical website builder known as Squarespace?
Ugh, not another Squarespace ad. I feel like every podcast is sponsored by them.
Hey, don't knock it till you try it. Yes, okay, it is overhyped, but actually it lives up to the hype. Squarespace is like a website fairy godmother. With a click of a button, your site transforms into a beautiful masterpiece.
A website fairy godmother? That sounds interesting. What makes it so magical?
Well, for starters, those slick templates make anyone look like a professional web designer. Pick one, customize the colors and fonts to match your brand, and voila. Plus, the drag and drop fluid engine is so easy, your grandma could build a site on Squarespace.
Well, she did knit me a lovely scarf last Christmas. Maybe website design is next.
Exactly. And when you're ready to sell your Nana's handmade scarves online, Squarespace has built-in e-commerce. Add a store with one click. Get flexible payment options. Then watch those sales roll in. And when she wants to teach others her steezy scarf skills, Squarespace's new courses feature is just the ticket. Nana can set up her curriculum and enrollments and payments in a snap and become the next e-knitting influencer.
Oh, wow, you really sold me with the grandma angle. Sign me up for that free trial.
Just go to thenextreel.com/Squarespace and transform your site into a beautiful Squarespace masterpiece.
Well, thanks, Pete. Even though it's overhyped, Squarespace actually sounds perfect for Nana's site's needs. Appreciate the warning on the ads, though. I'll brace myself next time I listen to a podcast.
Anytime. Let me know if you need any help getting that site up and running. Andy, can you believe we've almost hit 700 episodes of The Next Reel?
I know, it's crazy. And with all the other episodes in our family of podcasts, we are well over 1,200 episodes of movie conversation. It's really pretty amazing that we've gotten to have these in-depth movie chats every week for over a decade now.
And we couldn't have done it without our loyal community of film fans. Their support over the years has meant so much.
For sure. That reminds me, we should give the merch store a shout out. Buying shirts from thenextreel.com/merch is a great way listeners can continue to support the show. Plus, they get to sport our great designs.
Absolutely. I think sometimes folks forget we have a variety of shirts, mugs, phone cases, and more available. In fact, a great place to start is with a shirt sporting the Next Reel's logo.
We also have that classic Fast Times Spicoli Surf School tee, or the weirdly popular Rusty's European Tour shirt.
The one from National Lampoon's European Vacation. Why is that so popular?
Search me, but we have sold a ridiculous number of those. I guess there are a lot of Rustys taking trips to Europe?
We're always adding new designs based on movies we've covered, like our brand new design for a streetcar named Desire, featuring a streetcar named Desire. So if you want to rep your love of TNR and films, head to thenextreel.com/merch.
Every purchase helps us continue to have these weekly in-depth conversations. So visit thenextreel.com/merch today.
And as always, thanks for listening and being a part of the Next Reel community. We've got lots more great movie chats coming your way. I'm Pete Wright.
And I'm Andy Nelson.
Welcome to The Next Reel. When the movie ends,
our conversation begins.
In just a matter of seconds, you're going to hear a classic episode of this show from back in the day when we called ourselves Movies We Like.
It took us a while to settle into the show's format, so you'll notice some differences as you listen to these episodes. For instance, it takes us a bit of time to actually get into the conversation about the movie. Things like that.
But we're still proud of the conversations about the movies themselves, and we think they're worth keeping in the library.
So enjoy these episodes from our back catalog. And you can become part of our Discord community, learn more about the show, and find out how you can become a supporting member at thenextreel.com.
So thank you, everybody, for downloading and listening to The Next Reel. We appreciate your time and attention, and we hope you enjoy the show. I was born to love you. I was born to lick your face.
How about a dip in the pool?
Hey, so I don't really have any good stories this week. I do have my son has taken on these sort of Zen cones. I was reading
Zen
cones. I was reading him a story. And right in the middle, like I'm in the middle of a paragraph. I don't even remember what it was about. And he stops. He puts his hand very gently on my arm. He says, "Dad, said, "What is it, bud? What do you need?" He says, "A closed mouth gathers no feet."
And you're like, oh, okay.
What exactly are you saying? I think we need to work on your subtlety or subtext or whatever. I feel like you just told me to shut up in like the most elegant way I've ever heard. I love it. I love that bit.
That is funny.
Bit. Yeah. How you doing?
Funny. I'm good. I've been busy.
Yeah, you've had lots of you've been like full on producer, man.
Yeah, it's been
producing and budgeting and scheduling.
It's been a hefty week right now.
Are you pitching?
Last few
are you
weeks.
guys pitching anything awesome right now? Or are you just like wrapping stuff up and distributing?
We're not pitching anything right now. We're gearing up to pitch, but right now we're just in the middle of production on many projects, and so it's been a little exhausting juggling all of them.
Is it
part of the fun?
For you guys, it's pretty cyclical. Like, is this a time of year that's pretty busy for you, or is it just
typically
completely random?
Typically, summer. Summer used to be one of the slowest times because nobody wanted to work in the heat. But the last couple years, it's actually been very busy for us. So, so hey, we'll take that.
Yeah, take it.
Yeah.
Take it and run, sunshine.
Yes, indeedy. Just like Forrest.
Run, Andy, run. What?
Did you see that article in Variety about the trailers?
Because of they wrote that because of the rant.
Yes.
What did you think about that? Do you want to talk about it?
Yeah, I think we should.
We should do that. What do you think about that? So what was that? What was it about?
Just the idea that trailers are these huge promotion things, and there is this huge contingency of people out there who are watching trailers like crazy on the internet, and sites like Fandango it's almost an event. I mean, I don't know if you saw them, but I saw the trailers promoting the new trailer for Galaxy Quest that came out. I think the trailer promoting the trailer came out maybe 2 weeks ago, and then the new trailer I think came out last week.
Right.
It's just like, wow, it is really this event that.
And now they have these special trailers that are promoting not just the trailer or the new release of the trailer, but now different formats of the trailer. You want to see the 4K trailer? We got that too. Ultra HD trailer. It's and here's the special thing. So yeah, and we've ranted before, and this is a little bit hypocritical, right? Because we definitely promote our share of trailers every week.
Yeah, and usually watched digitally.
Watched digitally. We love the trailers, and I do love the trailers. I am becoming increasingly sensitive to bad or spoilerific trailers. I think they kind of give up the art of the trailer, and
I'm finding I really appreciate trailers when they find a way to get me excited about the story without giving the entire film away. That was, I think, one of my biggest disappointments. I had a lot of disappointments about Spider-Man 2, as we talked about, but one of my biggest ones, as I mentioned, was the fact that one of the key characters was established very firmly in the trailer, and the way that they were positioned in the film ended up being really the spoiler. The trailer really spoiled that whole thing.
Super disappointing. And the same thing for we haven't talked about it yet, but you, I know, are about to totally buzzkill Days of Future Past. And it was the same thing. Like the trailer ends up giving away kind of what ends up being sort of a weird moment, but it gives away some big major set pieces in a way that. Reading this article in Variety, and I think the title, trailers have become as big as the films they promote. I think it really gets to it that they're giving away, I think, intentionally more in the trailer because the trailer has become such an event in itself, and it's no longer a teaser as it once was. The teaser now teases the trailer that is coming, and the trailer has become a mini feature of the feature.
Mm-hmm. The thing that is frustrating is that there's no way for them to really release to do a test and release a trailer to see
like a trailer that's not giving any spoilers away to an audience and see how the film does, and then release another version of the trailer that has all those spoilers in it, and then see how the film does. There's no way for them to gauge that. So, in a very big sense, they're just kind of flying blind, and they think that by putting all that extra stuff in the trailer, it's actually helping the film sell. But I'll tell you, if they didn't show some of those things in the X-Men trailer, the people still would have come to see it.
Yes.
They
that's still would have come to see it. Yeah. Well, and, I think they gave up a lot. And the same thing with Guardians of the Galaxy and Godzilla. And, because it used to be, remember the days when there was a trailer? Mm-hmm. And I just mean like a trailer. There was a trailer for a film, and it was a little work of art that teased the movie and gave you a sense of what you were going to see, but there was just one. And now that we've moved into trailers as a part of a campaign, we see, trailer number 1, trailer number 2, trailer number 3, character trailers. We have, and now we have, here are clips trailers. You go into the iTunes trailer app and you get all of the trailers in a row, and sometimes you have 10 or 12 different pre-release features that come out of one of these giant films. And as you say, people would see the film anyway.
Yeah.
Most of the films of these big, and the films that probably would need the 10 or 12 trailers don't have the budget to create them.
Right.
So it's a very frustrating sort of a place to be for these elaborate event trailers. Dawn of the Planet of the Apes is there. Maleficent is there. Transformers: Age of Extinction. Oh my goodness, Are we in the middle of it?
We keep getting more and more of the movie in it.
Yeah. And of course, we're going to see it anyway. But like you say, how do we test to see how these movies would do? Is there a direct impact on these movies, particularly the event films, if they were to actually not have that level of trailer spoilerage?
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's hard to say, and maybe it's because the culture is so oversaturated right now that, okay, the Transformers trailer was cool when it first came out, but by the time that, we're a week out and the movie is about to come out, is there still audience interest? Or has everybody moved on to all the new exciting trailers and everybody's kind of forgotten Transformers, and that's why they feel, we better put a new trailer out, 4 weeks before the movie and then 2 weeks before the movie. What is their mindset to planning this marketing strategy?
Well, I wonder, and I think you look at Warner Brothers. Maybe this is a sign that they are open to testing, if not willing to test. That Interstellar premiered its big trailer in theaters only. That ends up being a nod to Christopher Nolan, who has other issues.
He's got plenty of issues with going old school.
Yeah, but at the same time, at least it's a sign, and I don't think it's necessarily fair, as you say. People are going to see Interstellar anyway, I think.
Right.
So,
well, yeah, and I
hope because it's original property. It's not based on a comic book character. We'll see. After what kind of pull he really has.
But the question with that is, did it matter that it premiered in theaters?
Right.
Or are people watching the trailer online anyway?
Right.
I don't know if where it premieres is really going to matter. Sure,
true.
It's always better to see it in the theater, but it's so much easier to just catch these on your computer when you get a moment.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. All right. So the article, we'll put the article in the show notes. You can check it out. It's it's an interesting little piece. It gives you something to think about.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. Hey, we should probably tell the people where we're from.
Where are we from?
Hey, everybody, it's The Next Reel. I'm Pete Wright. There's Andy Nelson.
Hey!
And we spoil movies. Once again, we are thrilled that you have put your movie spoilerage in our gentle hands. You can find out more about the show at thenextreel.com. You can read the blog stylings of the once and future king, Steve Sarmento. You can catch up with us on all our favorite social platforms, Twitter, Google+, Facebook, Join the conversation. We'd love to hear from you. And if you're not playing, you really need to play over on Instagram. The Pony Prize. Outsmarted. Steven Smart versus the People. Guess the Movie Challenge. How did we do this week?
He did. It was a pretty good week. He went a good number of images. It was Hitchcock's Torn Curtain from 1966. And it's interesting. It's one of those movies that has a certain look to it. And I believe there was I can't remember who, but somebody had a guess of a different Hitchcock film. And it was just interesting that from the look of the images, they were able to kind of pull Hitchcock out of thin air and kind of come up with something, even though they were wrong. But Joe Mija ended up getting it correct, I think, using a little a Google search. He acknowledged. But hey, if you gotta dig into some research a little bit to track it down, we're not going to hold it against you. So, congratulations to Joe Mija, and great job this week, Stephen.
That's awesome. It's who cheats faster.
That's right.
Oh, that's good. Yes. Congratulations. Congratulations, Joe Mija. Omaha. Hi. That's pretty good, right?
That was stellar.
That was.
It was not quite Interstellar.
No, not quite Interstellar.
Not quite.
Do you know the reference at all? It's from a TV show.
I don't know the reference.
Nothing? I wonder if anybody does. From a TV show, the most recent season of one of the most wrong and yet funniest TV shows on the air.
Oh.
It's a cable show.
Okay. I was going to say something, but it's not.
It's good. It's good fun. Good fun. All right. Enough about that. Hey, let's talk trailers. We are talking trailers. I realize usually we do a little trailer review before we talk about the actual trailers, and we didn't do that tonight. And here we are recording, and I don't know if you've seen my trailer.
I've seen it.
You have?
Yes, I was very much in the preparation mode this evening. And
I'm so glad.
I know. I checked Evernote and everything, and I got your little trailer link, and I watched it, and I said, "Sweet." Oh,
yay. Well, then let's go me first, then.
That's right.
I am doing the fantastic looking, at least, Snowpiercer. So you know about this Snowpiercer.
This is a film that I've heard about, and it's one of those films that popped up on some people's favorite films of 2013 list because it was released last year, but it still hasn't made its way here. It's
written and directed by Bong Joon-ho, Korean director, and I haven't seen all of his films, but I did. I think we may have even talked about this on the show at one point, early when I first saw The Host.
Mm-hmm.
Have you seen that?
I have seen that.
You have seen that. That became quickly became one of my favorite guilty pleasure monster movies. I had a deliriously good time watching that film, and so I ended up watching Mother in 2009, which was I think transcendent. I mean, it was really a super interesting way to or kind of a vector on this procedural, crime drama. It was wonderful, and so I'm very excited to see. I saw the trailer and I wasn't able to connect that it was Bong Joon-ho, but because it was it's done 80% of it is in English, and so this is his English language debut. Stars Chris Evans, Jamie Bell, Tilda Swinton, and a lot of other awesome people: Ed Harris, John Hurt, Octavia Spencer, Allison Pill. It's a fantastic cast. The film, it's about, so here we go, ripped from the headlines, a 2014 experiment to counteract global warming causes the ice age that kills nearly all life on Earth, and the only inhabitants that are left happen to be living on the Snowpiercer, a massive train powered by like an infinity engine, a perpetual motion engine that keeps the train. And so this train, which is on this global track just spinning around the world forever, is a class system develops, and it becomes kind of a cross between the Hunger Games and other movies that take place in cold places. I just had a little aneurysm just then. Anyway, so it's Chris Evans and team are taking over Tilda Swinton and her overbite. And it looks fantastic. I think it's going to be a great and really a vibrantly beautiful film. I'm very excited about it.
Yeah, it looks visually pretty interesting considering they're on a train the whole time. It actually looks really cool, and the class system and the military and everything looks cool. And Ewan Bremner's in it, and it's always fun to see him pop up in movies, even in bit parts. He's the guy who has the big poo in Train Spotting.
That's right. I totally missed that.
I'm sad to say that's how I will always remember him.
This film it opened last year in South Korea, and it's making its way toward us. It will hit us the end of June. Opens June 27th, U.S.
Yeah, it looks really fun. I can't wait to see that one.
Yeah, very exciting.
Interesting. Very interesting film.
What do you get? What do you got? What do you bring to the
I
table
am
here?
bringing a really quirky film that just looks like something I will fall in love with. I hope it's something I will fall in love with. It's a comedy drama fantasy directed by Michel Gondry, who did one of my faves, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. And it stars Audrey Tautou and Romain Duris, who is they were in a couple of films together, like La Berge Espagnole and Russian Dolls, and films that I can't remember that director's name right now, but he's directed them in a couple. Cedric Klapisch has directed them in a few films. Well, now Michel Gondry has got the two of them together in this really interesting looking film that looks as fantastical as just as you can get. It's just this beautiful painted looking story that has like stop motion mechanical things and just them flying around in little spaceships and stuff, and there's something about the whole look of it that just makes me fall in love with it. It's very fantastical in a way that is beautiful, and it does bring this kind of sense of passion to the film. It's based on a novel that by Boris Vian. I don't think I've read or heard of any of his books. Well, I guess he did write the I Spit on Your Grave novel. So I have heard of that one.
So there's that.
But the rest of them are all in foreign language. And then Audrey Tautou, I guess she gets a disease where she actually starts growing a flower in her lungs, and so he has to perpetually surround her by flowers in order to keep her alive or something. And I don't know if I fully understand the story or the whole concept of it, but just the idea of it just looks beautiful. I mean, just the when the little clock on the wall sprouts legs and climbs around, and when they're flying in their little ship, and just kind of the quirkiness and the awkwardness of these two characters as they're falling in love and living life together. This is a film that it just looks like one of those beautiful films that is going to tell a really touching story, and I fell in love watching the trailer.
I totally agree with you. It's delightful, and it's one of those films where I pretty much any Audrey Tautou film I get this feeling like I'm watching it and I think, oh my goodness, I had no idea they had brought Audrey Hepburn back CGI. I mean, she's just really captures that wide-eyed innocence of these classic Hepburn films. So I think it looks lovely and clever. And what was that TV show? You remember that TV show? It was like 1 or 2 seasons about the guy who it was like this wonderful like fantasy story, and he like made cakes out of dead people.
Oh, that one. Boy,
oh, come on. And there was that the woman was in it and they had to go like solve crimes. Oh, no, it was a thing where he could like bring people back from the dead, but only for 30 seconds. That was he had this special power. And he could bring people back from the dead, but only for 30 seconds, and then they would die again. So if they were trying to solve a crime, he would only have 30 seconds to ask the victim what was going on. I think it was
Is that Pushing Daisies?
Pushing Daisies.
Okay.
So that's what I that's what I thought of when I saw this trailer, because it has that kind of fantastical vibrance to it and a lot of flowers and her.
Right. And it has that Michelle Gondry
yes
quirkiness. Like The Science of Sleep has that same sort of feel, almost kind of like they're living in this little stop motion world.
Totally.
Some of Wes Anderson's recent films have had a little bit of that.
Yep.
Yeah, there's something going on with that, but Michelle Gondry seems to have really tapped into it in the right way in this.
Absolutely agree.
Yeah.
All right.
So that's my trailer, and it opens. That's another one that's been kind of making its slow journey around the world. It opened last spring in Europe, and it's just been kind of trucking ever so slowly, ever so slowly. It's going to open in the U.S. in July 18th, it looks like.
Fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go rob a bank.
Are you clear? You've been putting down 2-3 scores a month. You want to put down contract scores all over the country, working directly for me?
I am self-employed. Geist delights. Just diamonds or cash.
Fine. I'll make you a millionaire in 4 months.
I wear $150 slacks. I wear silk shirts. I wear $800 suits. I wear a gold watch. I wear a perfect D, flawless, 3-carat ring. I'm a thief.
Do you think that I have been waiting for you to come along?
You're gonna marry her and have some kids? Yes.
I'm just asking you to be with me. Go. We got a problem. I want my money.
We're your new partners. We're in for 10 points.
I am the last guy you want to mess with.
You get paid what I say. You do what I say.
You don't know from one day to the next whether you're going to be killed, go home, or get busted.
James Caan. Thief.
Thief. Andy. Thief.
Yes.
1981 neo-noir film written and directed by Michael Mann.
His first theatrical film.
It is. Firsts for a lot of people in it, too.
Yes, yes.
We're still in our 1981 vibe, although this one, maybe more than any other one that we've talked about so far, really feels like a 70s film.
I think this and Blowout both really feel like they are of the same ilk.
Yeah.
You know, they both feel like
we haven't been able to shake off the vibe.
Right. But it's good. I like the vibe in this one.
Do you? This one stuck out. So first of all, what's it about? What is Thief about? Let's talk about that.
It's the typical story of, you know, a thief who goes back for one last job and doesn't go so well.
Yeah.
I guess you could say. You know, it's a great example of just Michael Mann and his kind of fascination with the world of crime. I mean, it is a thief, a jewel thief, a diamond. He only steals diamonds or cash, and just kind of living his life and doing his thing. And he gets mixed up with the wrong guy who sets him on a big score. And of course, the thief makes out with all the loot, but then this guy isn't going to let him go. And you know, that's the way these stories tend to go.
It certainly is. It ends up doing a gig for the mob, and you just generally want to try and stay away from organized crime. I think
That's
the rule
a
of
good
thumb.
idea.
That's the lesson of the Michael Mann movies. I think organized is the operative term. Crime, lots of crime. Organized
That's right.
crime, you stay away from. Stars James Caan, Tuesday Weld, Robert Prosky, and Willie Nelson.
Good old Willie.
Along with a dashingly charming James Belushi.
He's great.
That's
Dennis
what
Farina.
It's sort of hard to, I was thinking of alternate titles to Thief. One of them is the death of the great James Belushi.
Because, man, does he take a shot.
He sure does.
Oh.
He sure does.
Or the other title, this is actually I think this was the working title, was, "Oh my God, we forgot to white balance this movie." That was another working title I had in mind for this.
Interesting.
And then they realized, oh my God, we never white balance Michael Mann movies. So it just became a thing. Somebody screwed up on this one, and now it's a thing.
And now it's a thing.
It's the first thing he says to this, to looking at Donald Thorin, cinematographer. This was, he says, "Hey, you make sure you screw up that white balance before you press the red button. You just make it. I just want to go cold.
I want it to be cold. Yeah, there you
go." Okay, so that's what the story is. This film, produced by the young and rugged Jerry Bruckheimer and Ronnie Kahn.
Yeah, this is before Jerry got hooked up with Don Simpson and started doing their crazy big budget over the top stuff.
Right. And this one, it's subdued. One of the things I think one of the reasons I think it really captures that 70s vibe is it's actually based on the 1975 novel, The Home Invaders, which is based on a true story by John Siebold, writing under the pen name Frank Hoheimer. So it is his story, and I think that's one of the things that Michael Mann I think does well generally in his films is doing his best to capture the realism. Whether you think about it while you're watching the film or not, he puts an awful lot of research into these crime films. You can tell he is an aficionado of crime, and not just, hey, I love crime, but I want to know how it's done every step of the way, to the point where many of the tools that were used to actually pull off these safe-cracking heists he borrowed from John Siebold for the film. So it is, I think he would say it's about as legitimate as you can come up with, and his he's on the record as saying, look, I could make up this stuff all day long, but really there's nothing more exciting or interesting than seeing how it is really done.
Yeah. And to the point where, I mean, he actually had real thieves as the technical advisors on the set, and they would teach James Caan how to actually break into these safes. And I believe, according to something I read, some of these thieves were still on the FBI's most wanted list, at least as of 2011, when that was said. So it's like they're serious people. These technical advisors that they were using on this film.
Right, and I believe. I believe I read that Uruzzi, John Santucci, the actor John Santucci, was actually a thief. Was this thief? So a lot of the story was based on what he did, and he actually played the corrupt lieutenant in Thief. So some of these guys had bigger roles. I mean, Michael Mann spent at least 3 years wandering the streets of Chicago with these guys, kind of learning the trade, learning how to portray the trade. And I think that comes through in the film.
Oh yeah, I think so. And before this, he had done that TV movie. I think he filmed it in Folsom Prison, Jericho Mile,
right?
With like real inmates and everything. And so he very much was in a place where he had tapped into that crime world and everything. And I think he's a guy who grew up in Chicago in a time where Chicago had a lot of crime, and is something that he was always fascinated with. And it just infused kind of the career path he took with just a lot of the projects that he's made, clearly. Because, I mean, if you look at the list of Michael Mann films, it is crime. I mean, I don't know, he started with Thief, which is definitely crime. The Keep, I haven't seen The Keep, but I don't think it's crime. Manhunter definitely is a crime story. Last of the Mohicans is not. Heat is. The Insider is corporate crime.
Right.
Ali is not really.
It was a crime.
It was a crime. It was a crime. Collateral. I don't. There's definitely a crime element. There's that kind of hitman crime side to it, and then Miami Vice, and then Public Enemies. So very much, and not to mention all the TV projects that he's worked on, Miami Vice and Crime Story, and so it's definitely something that has infused his sensibilities in his entire filmmaking career. And looking at even something like Heat, he is very much about the details of accuracy and getting these people doing stuff and acting as the real people would.
Right. Well, and even his, we didn't mention his upcoming film, 2015, Cyber, with Chris Hemsworth, is, again, a heist thriller, but this time in the area of high-level computer hacking between the American and Chinese military. So again, he's sticking with it.
Yeah, it's that's his thing.
So okay, how did it hold up? I think you and I had not seen this film in a while, right? I mean, you had been a longer time for you, I think.
I hadn't seen it in quite a while, and I really didn't remember much about it other than James Caan was a thief. That was like I just remembered nothing. So it was really like going into it fresh, and I really liked most of it.
I feel like I could cut that out. Like I really liked it. Okay, so first of all, what did you like about it?
I mean, I just like the story. I like James Caan. I think he's solid. I like his relationship with Tuesday Weld's character. I think there's something really interesting about their relationship between Frank and Jesse, their two characters, that I really like. I like Willie Nelson in the film. It's a little weird. There's something about the way he's looking at him that it feels like he's in love with him, and I wasn't quite sure if that's what they're going for or not, but it felt a little homoerotic in that scene.
Yeah.
James Belushi was great. I mean, I really liked the cast of characters. I loved Robert Prosky in this. I thought he was just fantastic as Leo. I love the crimes. I love the story. I think I really liked Frank's journey over the course of the film. Tangerine Dream's music didn't bother me as much this time, but there's something about the electronic music of the 80s that can be trying. And I think it works most of the time, but there are times where it just really is, I find it very jarring, and it kind of takes me out of the film. And it's actually funny because even now, Michael Mann says he still is battling with himself if using Tangerine Dream was the right decision for the film, which I found funny because there are times where I don't think it's right at all. He said that he grew up in that Chicago kind of the blues music scene, and he really kind of wanted to put that in here. And I kind of almost feel like that might have worked better. But I do like something about the synthetic music with the just the nature of the crimes that they're doing with these big drills and kind of the mechanicalness of all of the way they do everything. I liked the way that it kind of tied to that, but something about Tangerine Dream still is not working for me. And I think the biggest problem I have with it, which unfortunately I think I have with most of Michael Mann's films when there's any sort of relationship with a woman, is I just really have a problem with the way that the women characters are treated. I don't feel like he cares about the female characters at all. And I like the relationship between Frank and Jesse, but that's once they have the relationship. The beginning of the relationship is one of the most jarring and awful things to see. And then to go from that to sitting down and having coffee and they're in love holding hands, I'm like, what the hell is she thinking? It's really hard for me to get on board with that. I mean, I like that scene, but it's the fact that scene comes after the two previous scenes where he rips her out of a bar after being late for a date, and she's mad at him. It throws her in his car,
punches the guy who tries to help her,
right, and then drives off and yells at her. It's just like, God. And this is, I feel like this is one of Michael Mann's biggest faults. Is I just don't feel like he knows how to treat the female characters in his films, and I have such a hard time with that time and time again. I think one time that it felt like he really kind of was better on track with it was Collateral. I think a lot of that came from Stuart Beatty, who wrote the screenplay. In this particular case, I mean, again, I like the relationship. I just have a hard time with the beginning of it.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think that relationship, and that it is a really jarring romance, right?
Yes.
That's the piece. So there are two sort of the B and C stories that I feel like were absolutely wrong in this movie, that were jarring and frustrating for me every time we met them. And the first one was the Willie Nelson story. Like, I feel like that was, I don't know why that was even in there. And it was frustrating because, they had an interesting relationship, sure, but I actually found myself wanting more of it. Like, if you're going to short sheet Willie Nelson when he's actually doing some pretty darn good acting in this film,
right.
Like, that's, don't even put it in there. There are other ways. We already have the story over coffee, when he's telling the kind of giving a little bit more backstory. So I feel like that was extremely frustrating. The second one really is the relationship with, with all the female characters. I came out of it telling my wife, I said, I've decided that just in all of my working relationships, it's probably important for me to exert my masculinity by calling every woman I work with sugar. And she thought that was really funny.
I bet.
And
then you had to make your own dinner, and you slept on the couch, right?
Exactly. No, it really is terrible, and it takes me back, though. I mean, to the days of kind of going to work with Dad, and I don't really have a memory of my dad ever talking to people like that, but his boss sure did.
Yeah.
And so I feel like that was pretty accurate. I think making a movie in this period, I can see why that would have come about. I was still frustrated by it. The relationship between him and Jesse, it was terrible. It was just made my skin crawl every time. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't buy it, and it made me mad that they were together in the first place. And I have trouble resolving that, because at the end, when he goes hardcore and needs to, and know that, he's had a transformation, he knows he needs to resolve this situation and free himself, he goes cold and he sends her away, right? Gives her money, sends her away. Mm-hmm. How important is it that we hated that relationship to begin with for that transformation to occur? I mean, do you think there's any rational reason we should be at all celebrating his decision to go cold and send her away because of the way their relationship formed? Or was it really just bad?
I don't think, well, see, here's the thing, is I don't think that we're meant to hate the relationship. Again, this is a problematic storytelling philosophy, I guess I maybe could say, that Michael Mann has when dealing with relationships in his film. He can deal with male relationships really well, but when it comes to the female relationships, I just don't think that I can ever buy into them. Now, I know that about Michael Mann, so maybe that's why I'm kind of giving him a little bit of a pass on this, and I was able to buy into the relationship more once I dismissed those first two scenes of them in their relationship. Once I kind of just close my mind to those, and I start with them having that date in the bar or wherever they were, I'm much more okay with it. I'm not angry with it. I can buy into the relationship, and what I do buy into his character arc and the way that he does have to dismiss that relationship at the end, because I find it's such a tragic decision that he has to make. But as he says in prison, he had to learn that what it's all about really is closing himself off, and he can't have anything in his life. And it's a really kind of a painful realization for him, just because he opted to work with Leo on this big heist out in LA, that he ends up as a person who kind of had nothing left in his life. He was seduced by Leo, and he now has to go from not caring about anything to he started caring about something, and now he has to give all of that up, and he has to shed himself of those things now. and go back to being somebody who has nothing. And I don't know. I think it's an incredible tragedy, and I really like that part of the story. I think that's really powerful. It's just frustrating that it is tied into that relationship, and that is the thing that he has to dismiss. And not just the relationship. I mean, he gets rid of everything. I mean, he tells her to leave with the baby. He blows up his car dealership. He blows up the bar. Like everything that he is anything to do with, he destroys because he has to completely not have anything in his life again.
Yeah, it's funny. That's one of the areas that I think I had, trouble with, was his resolution at the end, because I could feel as I was watching the film that the tragedy existed, and emotionally I had bought into it, right? But because the architecture of the relationship that he had with Jesse was so weak to me, I found myself relieved only insofar as that part of the story was over. And then he starts blowing everything up, and then he goes and resolves this problem with Leo with a couple of, quick assassinations.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, I couldn't help but thinking, why did he just destroy everything when he was able to deal with Leo regardless of the infrastructure of his bar and the infrastructure of his car lot, and his house? Why did he feel he had to torch everything? Because, at that point, I'm bought into the emotional tragedy of it. And you're right. I'm going in with Michael Mann baggage. I know this is how his crime films end. But I don't feel like this one. I feel like this one ended, resolved sloppily. Like all the emotion was there, that connection was there, but the literal resolution was sloppy. I didn't find it made sense.
Well, I guess the reason I bought into it was, okay, this is a guy who made the mistake of carrying and building kind of a world for himself. He gets tied up with the wrong people, and he has to destroy that world. I don't think it's just because of Leo. I mean, yes, he does resolve that whole situation, but he's got the cops wiretapping his lines and following him. I mean, he's got, probably Leo's, I'm sure there's other, how these organized crime families are. There's other webs and other people, there.
I do know.
I know, nudge, nudge, wink, wink. Know what I mean? Know what I mean? It's one of those things where I feel like he feels he's trapped, and even though he's able to kind of resolve the immediate problem because of Leo has been threatening him, he has to basically escape and become a nobody again and disappear.
So you feel like he knew he was a marked man.
Yeah, I totally felt that, especially because, the cops were all over him through the film. And I just know that they would be looking at him very suspiciously because of this whole Leo thing. So I feel like he had to get out of Dodge, and he had to erase himself pretty much.
Yeah, okay. I mean, I buy that. I wonder how hard they'd be looking for him after he blows up 2 businesses and a residential home.
Right. Well, interestingly, the original shooting script actually did end with him reuniting with Jesse.
How do you feel about that?
I don't know. I'm not sure that it works for me, actually. I mean, there's something about Frank. I really like James Caan as Frank. But I feel like that would almost be a weird betrayal to the character arc that he just went on. This is a man who had a hard time in prison and decided that the only way he can survive is by having nothing. And he gets something, he has to destroy it, and he go back to having nothing. And then if it ended with him going and getting that thing again, I think it would almost betray the whole point of the film.
Well, here's the thing about the resolution at the end of the shooting script, though. I don't know. The end of the shooting script, she finds him, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He is gone. It's not like he goes out and tries to resolve things with her. It's like he's gone, and she decides that after 5 or 6 months, she's going to go and find him again. Right. And he is shocked at that. But what I like about it is that it gives her more texture and dimension as a character. The fact is, he worked hard, no matter how I feel about the fact that, about their relationship. He did work hard to, in his way, woo her, and got her to marry him, and they, purchased a child on the black market, and now they have an instant family. And so now we see that she has some dimension enough that this family that they created was worth it enough for her to go on this hunt for him and rebuild it.
Yeah,
I like that. I mean, it gives her a reason, which she's sorely lacking in the film.
Yeah, and just reading their last exchange once he sees that she came in. I mean, I'll just read it real quick. Frank, what are you doing here? Jesse, finding you. Frank, how did you get here? Jesse, by looking for 5 months. Frank looks away. Frank, why? Jesse looks at him. Frank, I have never expected you would find me. I did not expect you would look. Jesse, your children are at the motel, Frank. He touches her. Freeze, run end credits. There's clearly something familial and more to their relationship that she does still connect with. And the fact that she does find this familial bond very important. I mean, and she knows that it was important to him. He had that photo of that magazine montage.
Yeah, it was like his dream thing. Yeah.
Right, exactly. She knows that it's important to him. So I don't know. Now maybe I'm selling myself on the ending, because there is something really touching about the fact that he thinks that he needs nothing in order to survive, but she is able to come back to him and show to him, no, remember what you found in prison when you were that person who had nothing. It wasn't about having nothing. You had a vision of what it was that you needed to survive, and this was one of those things. Come back to us. And so maybe I do like that now.
I think you do. I think that's what you've learned about yourself.
I do.
That you're a big old softy.
I'm learning and growing on the show every night, every time we do it.
Well, and insofar as I may have navigated a way of you talking yourself into that, I feel like this actually gives more resonance to his decision to blow up the businesses in the home after getting rid of her, and it makes that final, like, he touches her. Sort of more of a tectonic shift, that he realizes, because I mean, this movie is about a man dedicated to one future, right? He has been focusing on this for so long, and this is the old Corleone thing, I keep trying to get out, but they pull me back in. That he is focused on building a family, come hell or high water. And what we see here is that she has thus bought into that dream. And he now has somebody to share that dream with, which is what he wanted all along. Now, is that a Michael Mann ending to a film? Categorically no.
That's right. This is definitely a much darker story. And it ends with him, succeeding in getting rid of Leo and his men. But it ends with him walking off into the shadows and disappearing into the night and essentially becoming a nobody, which does feel much more Michael Mann.
Feels very Michael Mann. So I mean, I get it. But me, I'm Popcorn Pete. I would prefer the resolution on this one.
Well, we have both.
We have
the film and we have the script.
Dare to dream.
Just read that last page of the script every time you watch the movie.
I am a loser. Okay, let's talk about other people, shall we?
Yes, let's. I think we read through a good number of the cast: James Caan, Tuesday Weld, Willie Nelson, James Belushi, Robert Prosky. This was his first film, and we've talked about him in the past in one of our. What did we talk about with him? It was.
I feel like you're absolutely right. And what was the movie we talked about? The Natural.
Oh, The Natural. There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of our baseball faves.
That's right. That's right.
So he was great in this, and he still, every time I see him, reminds me of Grandpa in The Munsters.
Totally.
he will perpetually make me think of that, even though he wasn't, but that's what he'll always remind me of. So this was his first film. This was James Belushi's first film. This was Dennis Farina's first film. He was actually a Chicago cop and came to work on this and loved it and never left. Yes. So it was great seeing him as one of Leo's thugs. And
William Peterson.
William Peterson. This was his first film, and he went on to do Manhunter a few years later with Michael Mann.
Yeah.
So a great group of people. And, of course, we already mentioned some of the cast were some real criminals and some real cops. And so it sounded like there were some interesting conversations on set between some of these people because I guess, the right amount of time had passed, so some of the criminals were admitting to things that the cops had never resolved, and so there was some frustration on the set that that's the guy who did it, and I'll never be able to get him now. And I can't even imagine a set like that. I really can't.
I know. God.
Oh yes.
Yeah. Okay. So the cast list. I don't want to talk. Definitely don't want to bring up Tangerine Dream, but I do want to talk about Donald Thoren. And only, Donald Thoren has done a lot of stuff as a cinematographer. I believe this was his first. Is that true?
Yeah, he had actually worked with Michael Mann on the Jericho Mile as the gaffer. And the gaffer is the person who deals directly with the director of photography, setting up the lights and kind of the director of photography is deciding what lights to use, and the gaffer is the one in charge of all the electrics, basically putting the lights up and everything.
Yeah.
And so he was the gaffer on that, and I guess he really clicked with Michael Mann, and they just got along really, really well. And from that, Michael Mann felt that he was good enough to be the DP, and he came on as his DP. And I think he captured, I know you were joking about it earlier as far as the white balance, but I think it's a gorgeous film. And if there's any director who knows how to capture a city at night, it's definitely Michael Mann. The night footage in this film I found just stunning to look at, especially on the Criterion Blu-ray that they put out. It's just jaw-droppingly gorgeous.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you, but you have to admit it is an easy, he's an easy one to poke fun at, a little bit.
Yeah, he loves his color schemes.
He loves his color schemes. That's what I'm saying.
I love his color schemes in this film.
I also do, and I also love them in, I love when he goes to Miami Vice. I actually quite liked the look of, Miami Vice. It had that same sort of vibe, and I think you're right. His colors at night. What I'm interested in this film in particular is I found myself fascinated by as his directorial debut and as Don Thoren's debut as a feature cinematographer, just how well established these Michael Mann visual tropes became. Like, immediately, this film fits so solidly, right? Hand to glove into the visual gestalt of Michael Mann. It was amazing to me. The way he plays with leading lines in wide frames, and the way he plays with these long tracking shots, the way he plays, it is so Michael Mann. Like, everything else is a variation on a theme that he has made since then.
Yeah, absolutely. He really knows how to establish the tone and let the tone really fit the genre in a way that works incredibly well. And working with Donald Thoren, you're right, they established something in this film that has gone on for so many of Michael Mann's films, and it's just something that has become, cliche, I suppose, the way that other people would do it. But when Michael Mann does it, it's just his style, and it fits perfectly.
Yeah, it really does, and is beautiful. As much as I make fun of it, it is. I think it is a unique visual style, and it's a uniquely sort of American crime style. And I find it really fascinating. Just turn off the volume. Put on your own Tangerine Dream album and watch this film, and you'll see it.
There you go. They did a lot of interesting stuff with the camera work too, and made decisions about how they would shoot the film that I think really helped tell this story of this kind of this thief in this crime world. They opted to shoot, as much as they could, whatever scenes required at night, and when they were shooting at night, they would often shoot the cars where you could really, the emphasis was on the hood of the car and the reflections of the hood. And Michael Mann was doing that purposefully to design it almost like the city was a tunnel. It was just like, tunnels. And when he would shoot buildings, he would try to shoot them where you couldn't see the tops of the buildings, like there was a roof sitting on top of this whole thing. And like it was a great big rat maze. And, these criminals were just rats running around in the maze. And I even like there's the alley right at the beginning of the film. And I guess its nickname in Chicago is Rat Alley or something like that, because it was so infested with rats at the time or something. So it very much establishes this feel of these rats in a maze, and by making these night shots so claustrophobic and just focusing on the reflections overhead like we're wrapped in this neon tunnel, it really does feel that way. And I was just really drawn to the look of this film, and it's so striking when it steps out and all of a sudden you have a scene on the beach at Malibu as they're splashing in the waves and frolicking and having a good time, and really kind of stepping away from that world that they've been trapped in for so long, that we've been trapped in for so long.
Yeah, truly. I like that a lot. It was a wonderful setup too, for the kind of third act catastrophe. As this is sort of the last time we see Barry, Belushi before the death of James Belushi. Mm-hmm. And it's really the only time we get any sort of breath in the film. Yeah. Everything else is so dark and so high contrast and so just sort of dour that once we're on the beach and we see Barry running around with his lady and they're having a good time, only to be kidnapped and shot in the
mm-hmm.
the shotgun, it was quite a Michael Mann contrast.
Yeah. Yeah, and it works. It's very effective.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Very effective. Let's see. Who else do you want to talk about?
Mel Bourne is the production designer on the film. He's just one of those production designers who's been around for a very long time. He's fantastic, and I think gives the film that helps with that whole claustrophobic sense. And like you were saying earlier, a huge part of the production design was being very realistic, to the point of using real safes, using real safe cracking tools, including that giant stick, that fire stick or whatever it's called.
Yeah, like the oxy stick.
The oxy stick, whatever. Yeah, that they light. That was all real, and they were actually cracking into a real safe on the set at Zoetrope where they were filming this, or that particular scene. There's something about that reality that lends itself to even more to just the tone of this film, and gives it a little bit more of that Michael Mann feel. And I think Mel Bourne and his production design on the film just really lends to that.
Absolutely. It's a lot of texture.
Yeah. Yeah, and great locations. That's something else that I think is key. And Michael Mann, he is a director who he loves his locations. I think is a director who always strives to shoot on location as much as possible and to avoid doing any sets whenever he can. And you look at something like Heat and the amazing sets, or Collateral, and I mean just amazing sets, amazing locations that they're really using all around to build their worlds. And I mean, the car dealership, you've got that great stop that he makes to confront, the guy, his original diamond dealer. Once he dies, he goes and confronts that sleazeball at the plastic company or whatever. Just that whole building just looks. There's a look to that you could see in a photo album of buildings from the late 70s and early 80s, and that would be in there because it just has that look. it fits so well. And so they know how to capture the right locations for everything.
I think that's true, and it's a funny thing to really concentrate on when you're watching this film, right? Because it's sort of the difference between CG effects and practical effects. This film, it takes place in Chicago, and was shot in Chicago and Los Angeles, and you can't none of the locations necessarily required being on location in Chicago, right? I mean, nothing in there couldn't have been reproduced on a set, with create some streets, put some water on them, and it's mostly done at night, and what are you going to lose? But you really do feel it. The wide shot, I think in particular, the wide shot at LNA plating, when he pulls up his car and it's just a little bit off center, you kind of want the car to be further into the frame, but you see this wall of glass bricks as he gets out of the car and goes into this place. The shot is long and it's dead still, and you can feel just how real these locations are. I think it really is good, but that gets back. The thing that it triggers for me is Tangerine Dream again.
Yeah,
because so many of the locations were so real, right? Like you really feel like you're there in Chicago. It starts to make you think about the sound that they're giving you. They're taking such pains to put you in this place. Why are they giving you kind of new wave electronica as the backing track, or new age electronica as the backing track to these things? Why don't we why aren't they putting us in that sort of iconic Chicago blues sound, or you know what I'm saying? So there was a conscious decision to separate the physical and the audio overlay of location.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, Michael Mann said he thought that by using Tangerine Dream, there would be a benefit of that abstraction of the way that there's that electronic score that would emphasize the separation of these thieves from the real world, and it would help their themes emerge better and everything. And but again, like I said earlier, this is something that he still battles with, and he still is unsure if he made the right decision. And I am unsure if he made the right decision, because I do feel like sometimes he's right. There are times where I feel like I can buy into this music working in this particular scene. Like, I think it works better for me, maybe in the break-ins, like the crime scenes. There is something really kind of that synthetic metallic noise that does fit that world better for me. When it's him and Jesse holding hands and stuff like that, that's when it starts feeling like this is just that awkward 80s synthetic music that I'm just like not digging at all.
God, I had so many Tangerine Dream albums. I'm not kidding.
This film is the film that kind of brought them to the Hollywood forefront, and they ended up doing quite a lot of films after
50 films to their credit.
Yeah. I mean, they had done other films beforehand, and notably Sorcerer, which came out 4 years before this, but I think that this was the big one that all of a sudden shot them into the Hollywood spotlight. I mean, they were doing Risky Business, The Keep. They did a few more films with Michael Mann, Firestarter, Vision Quest, Red Heat, Near Dark. They did this for a long time. Legend. I mean, they did lots and lots of stuff. So
crazy.
Yeah.
Wow. I'm not really paying attention to you anymore because I'm now browsing Tangerine Dream in my collection. They're still making music. Knights of Asheville live at Moog Fest, Asheville, North Carolina, released in 2013.
Wow.
Right?
I wonder how many of the original guys are still with them.
I wonder if
or is it one guy named Tangerine?
Named Tangerine Dream. That's funny. I have no idea.
No, because one of the band members was interviewed in I think their German, right?
Yeah, I honestly, I have no idea. I started getting into Tangerine Dream because a buddy of mine, his older brother was into Tangerine, and his older brother was super cool. And so I had to get into Tangerine Dream, and so but I've never done any research in, 25 years. Never done any research on what the band is all about, who's in it, don't know anybody in it. I just have all these albums. Rubicon, Stratosphere, ugh, name it. It's kind of the same way with Vangelis.
Yeah, except I can find more of an emotional resonance with Vangelis's stuff.
Yeah. Well,
some of it.
Aren't you special?
I am.
Oh, okay. All right. I think we need to move on here. What do you think?
I think we should.
Feel good? Shall we rank it?
Well, let's talk money.
Oh gosh, yeah, we should talk money. I got so excited about
I know
Vangelis now.
I know you did.
All right. How'd it do?
Well, this movie, it cost about 7 million smackers to make. So just a few, and adjusted. That's about
smackers.
Just a few smackers. It's about 18 million in today's dollars, and it went and made for itself. Let's see, about 11.5 million domestically. I didn't find any numbers internationally, but about 11.5 million, which is about 29.5 million adjusted for today's dollars. So it did all right for itself. It made adjusted $94,277.56 per finished minute.
All right. So it did well for itself, but not enough to make a sequel.
Not enough to make a sequel. That's right.
Sequel. Oh my God, we didn't white balance this again.
But it's funny though, because James Caan says this is one of his 3 favorite films that he's done, and that scene that he has, the long conversation he has with Tuesday, with Jesse in the diner, that's his favorite scene that he's ever done.
I read that and was a little bit shocked.
I like that scene. I actually went back and rewatched it after I read that, because I was too. And I was like, okay, I can see it because there is some interesting stuff going on in that scene. Would I say it's James Caan's best scene? I don't know, but it's his favorite scene. So,
yeah. Well, it's no Brian Piccolo. That's all I'm saying. Do you know where you're going to? Oh, good time.
Good time.
All right. Hey, let's rank it.
Let's do it.
Head over to flickchart.com/the next reel, and you can catch up with all of that's our big list. All of the stack rankings of our favorite films and not so favorite films that we've talked about on the show. What are we up to? 137?
This is going to be 135.
130, like I said, 135. And you can see, is it going to break the vaunted top 100?
Well, let's find out. Thief or The Bourne Ultimatum?
Bourne Ultimatum.
Yeah, I think I would say Bourne Ultimatum. I mean, I like Thief a lot, but I think I would do Bourne Ultimatum. Thief or your favorite, Yee Yee? A 1 and a 2.
I'm going to say Thief.
I think Thief
I would even watch Thief. I would watch Thief dubbed in Chinese, if that would satisfy that comparison. I would watch it, and I don't speak a lick of Chinese.
And you'd watch it twice.
I'd watch it twice in Chinese before I would sit down and watch Yee Yee again.
Oh, that's funny. All right, Thief or Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade?
Oh, Last Crusade.
Yeah, it has its problems, but it is Indiana Jones.
Renamed the dog Indiana.
Thief or Cloverfield? I would go Thief.
Okay. Yeah, I would definitely go Thief.
Yeah.
I probably shouldn't have even spent that long thinking about it.
Well, once you think of the kids, it's
the Abercrombie ad. Oh, that's why I'm going Thief.
Thief or A League of Their Own?
Thief.
Ah, man, A League of Their Own, though.
Ironically, maybe not so ironically, there's also no crying in Diamond Heists.
Otherwise, you get shot. That's right. I actually would go Thief because I do feel it's the better movie, even though I have a very special place in my heart for A League of Their Own. So take that, Thief. Try to steal that from me.
You'll never take my heart.
Thief or Driving Miss Daisy.
Oh.
Lots of crime in that one.
Wow. You know, James Earl Jones is in that right now, I think.
On Broadway, right?
Yeah.
With Murder, She Wrote.
I was going to say Agatha Christie. No, it's not Agatha Christie. What's her name? Oh, this is going to kill me.
Murder, She Wrote.
Oh, who's going to get it? So what's her name?
Mrs. Potts.
Angela Lansbury.
There you go. Thank you. Oh,
might as well have been Agatha Christie.
Angela, Agatha.
Yeah. All right. What's next? We haven't even talked about it. I'm gonna have to go Driving Mid Daisy on that. Driving Mid Daisy on this one.
Mid Daisy. I would go Thief on this one.
Really? How much? Because I'm not that sold on Driving Miss Daisy.
Just thinking about, okay, sure, it's got some of that awkward Michael Mann relationship stuff, but the crime scenes, Robert Prosky, his scenes thrilled me every time he was on. I love the shootout at the end. I love all the break-ins. I had a great time with this film. And Driving Miss Daisy is a film I feel has a very specific pace to it, and it's a very specific character film. And if I'm going to watch a character film, I think I'm going to watch a character film that involves break-ins.
The problem I had with Robert Prosky, and I also think it was great, but I couldn't stop thinking of Ned Beatty in Robert Prosky's stuff, in Network in particular, when he does his big monologue, right? And so when Prosky does the "wake up, I own you, I own your kids, I'm gonna do horrible things, and your wife is gonna work in my restaurant," and no, it's terrible. The things that he says. I wanted him to be Ned Beatty.
Interesting.
And that has nothing to do with Driving Miss Daisy, but I'm fine with that. Go, you do what you want.
Okay. All right, Thief or Quarantine?
I might even go Thief on this one.
I think I am too. Quarantine is a really fun film, but I feel like there's a little more meat to Thief.
Yeah.
Look at that. We did it. 86.
86.
86 out of 135.
I'm going to say that actually surprises me. I thought, given some of the choices that we made there, that it would be higher.
Well, the problem is when you start, when you hit that middle point,
yeah,
it drops. This is a flick chart thing. Like you start, you say no. We give it to Born Ultimatum. It throws it to the very bottom of the list, and then it competes its way up toward the middle. So, it's a tricky thing with flick chart. So,
right. Well, hey, good fun. 86. I'll take it. All right. So where do we go from here in our 1981 Wonder Quest?
Well, we're going to have a fun week next week because I think this is one of my favorites from 81. And we're going to head across the pond and enjoy An American Werewolf in London.
Yes, we are.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes. John Landis.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this one.
I'm definitely looking forward to it.
Yeah.
I love that movie.
Good fun.
Yep.
John Landis next week. And I think, do we have any news for the people?
No
news for the people. Make sure to hit the Instagram thing, people.
Yes.
Give old Stephen Smart the run for his money. He needs it because he's not getting paid.
That's right.
So he needs the exercise. Let's say that. That doesn't make any sense.
You're selling it, but not really.
Clearly, I got to go to bed.
I'm going to go rob a bank.
I got a lot of history in Tulsa.
I feel a song coming on. I don't know.
Horn is as high as an elephant's eye. And where is it growing, Andy?
And it looks like it's climbing straight up to the sky. Oh, what a beautiful... we could never sing together over this because of the delay.
That wasn't bad. Was it delayed on your end? I
Oh,
thought
it's
we sounded
horribly
quite
delayed.
good. Oh, no, it was perfect on here.
Yeah, it's horribly delayed on my end.
Right in tune. We are doing the wrong podcast, is all I'm saying.
we should be doing the singing one. Singing movie reviews.
Singing movie
Nobody's
reviews.
doing that yet.
Hey, can I tell you about my Amazon review?
Oh, please do.
I'm going to do M. Benet.
Oh.
As I mentioned, from Tulsa.
Mm-hmm.
She says it's a 2-star review. I did not like this film as much as we did. Says it's an unlikable lead. Maybe I'm being naive here, but shouldn't the lead in a film generate some likability to the audience? Otherwise, why would you spend 2 hours with him? Every time I thought there was going to be a little spark of warmth or humanity in the lead character, he goes back to being the one-dimensional tough guy. When toward the end, when the lead is sending his wife away with their adopted baby son that they have, he gives her $410,000 to take with her. Then I started thinking, well, here is his human caring side. Nope, not to be. He then goes ahead and instructs his wife, who he's kicking out, that she has to pay the guy he's sending her with the driver of the journey on his journey $20,000 first month, $25,000. Well, she gives away the whole movie. How long is $410,000 going to last if she has to keep paying this guy incrementally larger amounts? That's when I said, forget this guy. He's damaged goods.
Ooh.
I know, she's very serious.
She should have called it damaged goods.
She should have called it damaged goods. Unlikable lead. Right. She buried the lead there, so to speak. Yeah. Did not like it as much as we did, I don't think. Well,
mine is a 1-star review
straight to the bottom.
Stylish Stupidness, and that's STOOPIDNESS.
When you really want to make a point, make sure you misspell it.
Thank you, Sakara, who wrote this review. Sakara says, James Caan is an adult, not a kid, in the 1980s, not 1930s, who thinks he can do just one job for the mafia and then quit, with no trouble from the mafia. I had to say it that way because there's 4 exclamation points. Even back in the 1930s, with Little Caesar, misspelled, Douglas Fairbanks Jr. just couldn't quit the mob. There are some nice gore, violent scenes, especially for the stupid and stylish climax, in which James Caan practically goes out of his way to screw himself over before the mafia can screw him over. That's how dumb this movie is. Caan at the climax ruins his life in order to get revenge on the mafia. Go figure. 3 stars if you don't care for common sense and love movies with shiny wet streets and fancy lights at night. I like how Sakara gave an additional rating just in case you're one of those people who loves movies with shiny wet streets.
That is awesome. And I think we can say we do love shiny wet streets.
It is hard to believe that we have been having in-depth weekly conversations about movies since 2011.
So many great conversations over the years about so many great movies.
And some stinkers.
Well, true. But producing this show week after week requires a ton of work behind the scenes. If you'd like to help support our efforts, one easy way is by using our Originals page when shopping for books and movies that we've covered.
Just visit thenextreel.com/originals. Your purchases made through our links give us a small commission at no extra cost to you and allow us to keep having these great discussions.
In Season 3, we covered even more great adaptations like The Night of the Hunter and It Happened One Night, both part of our Couples on the Run series.
We talked about No Country for Old Men. The Coen brothers so rarely adapt someone else's work.
We had some fun rom-com adaptations like About a Boy, based on the Nick Hornby novel, and Nick and Nora's Infinite Playlist, adapted from Rachel Cohn and David Levithan's book.
In our terribly and naively named foreign language series, we discussed The Brilliant City of God and The Diving Bell and the Butterfly, which I won't ever be able to watch again, ever.
But could you read the original memoir?
I don't know, maybe?
We had our Richard Dysart series with adaptations like The Day of the Locust and Being There.
Plus, we had that fantastic interview with the man himself.
The one where we had him sit on the floor.
Because this chair was so squeaky. Good times.
We did our first Tom Hanks series with Forrest Gump, adapted from Winston Groom's novel, plus Apollo 13, based on Lost Moon by Jim Lovell.
And we did another year series looking at films from 1981, including Das Boot, Gallipoli, and Thief, all based on books.
Listeners can dive deeper into all of these original stories and more at thenextreel.com/originals. Every book, play,
movie,
video game. You bet. We have talked about some video game adaptations as well. It doesn't matter the source, just follow the link. Every purchase supports the podcast.
Check out the full list at thenextreel.com/originals and get reading, watching, performing, or playing today.